Hello, guys. Welcome back to episode 8 of the Wildcard Lads. I'm Ryan,
I am Peter.
and it's just the two of us for today. Marcelo will
Unfortunately,
be joining us next week.
which is unfortunate. I wanted to hear him on his New York Football Giants blowing the game
Yeah,
against the Eagles Thursday night.
and
I was watching with him, but it was still funny.
Daniel
I wanted
Jones
to see
having the
his thing.
fastest run of a quarterback all year, and then falling down at the 10-yard line.
I have him in fantasy too, Ryan. I was just like, just make it. I saw him tripping over himself. I'm like,
Dude,
oh
that
man.
one play would have been 8 points for the run, right? And then the touchdown would have been no, it would have been a 90-yard run, right? If he finished it,
90-yard run, which is 9
9 points
points.
plus 6.
Yeah, that's 15 points off of one play.
But they did score, right? He did throw to Sterling Shepard, I think. They even though he didn't run it himself, they
Yeah,
did
yeah.
score a touchdown on that drive. So,
They threw the game at the end
but
with all the penalties that they had in the red zone. That's what
yeah,
lost in the game. Well, and I guess you could say Evan Ingram.
Evan Ingram, yeah, and
Yeah.
that was a pretty well thrown ball. It hit him right in the hands. Like you got to catch it. But the Giants lost, and I believe is it Washington in first place this week? They
As
Washington
it
won.
stands now,
Washington
as it
beat the hell
stands
out
now,
of
I think
Dallas.
Eagles are number one.
Oh, because of the tie, right? They're 2 4
There's
and
a
1.
tie.
I'm actually glad. So last week on the episode 7, we talked about that Dallas Washington matchup. I did pick Dallas on this podcast, but I switched it to Washington. And
I made a mistake of not switching.
yeah, I'm basically at a point now where like Markello is with the Falcons with Dallas, where I'm not picking them again this year. Like
Well, now
there's a
we're
legit
gonna get
chance
to it when we
that
talk to them. They're trading all their players away.
Dallas,
Yeah, on defense. Their
yeah.
defense is
So
bad enough. They're shipping everybody out.
who Everson Griffin got traded right to the Lions.
Yeah, Dontari Poe's gone or gonna be gone.
Daryl Worley, he'll be cut or traded today.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing.
There's a good chance Dallas are going either 2-14, maybe 3-13. At best 4-12 if they can get another division or win or two
Yeah,
in. But
they could
they
probably still find a way to beat the Giants. To be honest.
they look lost. So and Mike McCarthy, I don't know if he's going to survive crazy after one
Um,
season, but
I this is speculative. Let's get it out of the way now. Let's get rumors out of the way first before we get into the games. This is completely like fan fiction, I think, but it's fun to think about. Obviously, if the tank for Trevor is on with the New York Jets, and I was watching a podcast, a Jets podcast, where the two guys were, I think it's called like Geo and something. They're on YouTube. I don't know.
That's
Yeah, they're Jets people, and they were talking about what's going to go on with Sam, right? Do we keep him for next year? Do we take Trevor? What's going on? Or trade him now at the deadline, actually. So they were thinking maybe Dallas could be buyers, and could just to try to salvage the season since that division's still open. You trade for Sam Darnold now that you don't even have Dalton for this week, and because of the concussion. Plus, he didn't even look good when he was healthy. And if not Dallas at the deadline, then maybe a team like Pittsburgh or Indianapolis in the offseason.
yeah, I agree with that. I'm basically at a point now, even if we don't have the first overall pick, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be taking obviously Trevor Lawrence if he's on the board, but I'm basically at a point now where like I'll even take Justin Fields at number 2.
Really,
Yeah.
I say you get what you get and take Trevor.
No,
I'm
no.
not settling for number
I don't
two.
think like it just there's 7 teams who only have 1 win, so it's still a scary sight. Don't get me wrong, and I'm glad the Jets got past that Bills game because I was scared. We were up 10-0 early, and thank God we played like that in the second half where we had 4 total yards. We got back to business, but
Yeah, I wish
that
Raquel
was
was here
good.
too for a game we're going to talk about later. You have some explaining to me to do. I'm not going
Big
to tell you
teams.
about which team or which player yet, but we'll get to them.
It's gonna be Cam Newton and the
It is
Patriots.
going to be Cam Newton. You want to get out of the way now?
Sure.
What did I say before the season started? What have I been saying for years?
I know you haven't been the biggest fan, and he's looked awful the last 2 weeks. And that Niners game, I really didn't want to pick them. I didn't think it was gonna be that bad, but everything that I said defensively would happen, they couldn't stop the same thing the Rams couldn't stop against the Niners. Everything behind the line of scrimmage, Debo Samuel before he got hurt, any running
And
back, Jeff Wilson had 3 touchdowns.
it doesn't matter what the running back is in Shanahan's system. He keeps proving over and over. And I feel bad for
Yep.
Mostert, who wanted to get paid. He's not going to be in. I don't think he's going to be a 49er next year.
So Kyle Shanahan's just doing an unbelievable job, just coaching, and the Niners. That division, man. All
That's the
four
best
teams.
division in football.
All 4 teams, I think, are going to the playoffs, or it's at least 3. We said 3 to start the
If all
season.
four teams make the playoffs, that means there's going to be an outlier, depending on who wins the division. there's a real chance. I was scared. I was looking at schedules actually. What day was I looking at it? I think after yesterday. Yesterday was Tuesday. Yeah, so after the
Yeah.
Monday night game, I was looking up schedules because of how good that division is doing in the NFC West. And whoever doesn't win the division in the NFC South, so I think Tampa's actually going to win the division. But let's say they don't. Whoever doesn't win the division, there's a good chance they don't make playoffs. So the Saints or Buccaneers, despite how good they are, I think they're both contending teams for the Super Bowl. One of them, there's a realistic chance might not make the playoffs.
Yeah, at the end of the day, though, because
Just based on
Carolina's
standings.
maybe you're right because the Saints have what 2 losses and the Bucs also have 2 losses. So right now they'd be safe, but
But the Saints have the win right now over the Bucks. We
yeah,
play
that's
them
big.
again, I think, week 9. So not this week, but the following week. I think
And
we
the
play
Saints
them.
beat Carolina, so they have the division. So I don't think 4 teams will make it from the West, but I think you could argue the 4 teams deserve it. I think those are 4 of the top
100%
11,
in the
top 10
league.
teams in the league. So
And you look at the NFC North. You have the Packers and you have the Bears.
the Bears,
Everybody's clowning
the
the
Bears are
Bears.
pretenders. Let's be honest. Like
We're clowning the pretending Bears, but they're 5-2.
no, they're 5-2, but they're gonna crash. They're gonna go 9-7 at best.
Really?
Yeah.
So you think the
Did you see their
downhill starts
schedule?
now?
They showed it on Monday night before the Rams game. They were like, "We're gonna find out who the Bears really are," and it's the same thing. The Bears have an excellent defense, but the offense,
Their
even,
offense.
even with Foles, it's not. I think this also goes back to last year with Matt
You have
Nagy.
to
I
look
think
at
Matt
Matt
Nagy,
Nagy, yeah.
he's a real issue. I don't think he's it as the coach, and
Well, did you see what he said?
yeah, he might give up play calling duties, but like I feel like every coach says that and they never do it. Like, oh, we have to make
Adam
this.
Gase is doing it now.
Yeah, Adam Gase finally did it, but like they always tell you, like, oh, we have to make this little adjustment or this little wrinkle, and then they never do it. It's the same offense, it's the same stuff. So we'll see. The Bears are a good team. They're better than they were last year, but they're not on caliber with any team. I don't think from the NFC West or
And
even
they need to do
Saints or
something different at
Buccaneers.
running back. David Montgomery is not a workhorse back like they're trying to make him.
Yeah, and I don't understand. I don't know because I'm sure you watched that Monday night game against the Rams. Like even when they were down, right? It was like 4th down in their own territory. Why are you giving a toss to Cordell Patterson? Like why is a toss the
Matt
play?
Nagy's
You
he
need
always had
1
an
yard
obsession
and
with
you're tossing
Patterson.
it. Like they
Do
got
you remember
killed. They
David
got
Montgomery's rookie year?
Yeah,
I drafted him in fantasy his rookie year, and I told him, like, Ryan, it scares me. I know Tariq Cohen's going to get his passes. That was known. But when I drafted David Montgomery, I'm like, Ryan, I don't know if I made a mistake because Matt Nagy has this thing with Patterson that he just loves him.
yeah, and I don't mind that. It's just like some of the stuff was ridiculous with what they were using him in the role. Like you need 1 yard and 4th down. You're not supposed to like you don't have a big left tackle like that I know of. Like who's it's like Leno. He's an undersized tackle. Why are
And
you
now
getting?
Allen Robinson's in concussion protocol.
I seen right at the end of the game. Yeah, that was a shame.
Yeah, and they play the Saints this week, so that's good.
Yeah, but we'll get to that matchup when it gets there. But the Bears are going to lose this weekend.
All
But
right, so
anyway, you want to get to
let's start with
the
the games.
let's get to your division, the Thursday night football game. It's gonna be a good
Yep.
one. Carolina and Atlanta. The Falcons blew another game, but I was happy for my Lions. Like, how much bad stuff happened to them over the years in Stafford. And it's funny, the last time they played each other a few years ago, Golden Tate got called down at the 1 yard line when he scored a game-winning touchdown. They showed it like at the end of the Atlanta game.
Yeah, I just
So this was
I don't
karma.
know.
This was karma because the Lions should have won the last game a couple of years ago, and then Stafford wins it with 0 seconds on the clock to T.J. Hawkinson.
We have to start putting this on Matt Ryan.
Some of it, yeah, but Todd Gurley really should have just ended the game and knelt down, but obviously he fell into the end zone and gave Matt Stafford time. And Matt Stafford's one of the best quarterbacks in under 2 minutes. He has a lot of game-winning drives in the fourth quarter. So, but speaking of, we'll go to this matchup first, Carolina and the Falcons. I think this is going to be a good one. They played each other already, and Carolina won, but Julio Jones didn't play in the first matchup. He's playing tomorrow night. It's tough because I like Atlanta's playing well this year. They shouldn't have one win, but they just blow every game.
This has to fall on Matt Ryan. I'm telling you, you can't lose this many games, this many comeback games, all these years in a row since that
Some
big
of it
Super
is
Bowl
on Matt
loss.
Ryan because there was like he got stripped by Trey Flowers. Like
It's just
I
his
watched
decision making
I watched some of the
sometimes.
game, so it wasn't perfect, but I think he did do enough to win. But obviously, it's not enough when you're Falcons for some reason. But anyway, just to by the way, the Falcons can't trade either Julio or Matt Ryan. I was looking at it. Like I know some people are putting out there as rumors, but just financial reasons. If they trade, I think Julio, they have like a negative $40 million like in dead money. So it's not happening. And I don't think Matt Ryan's gonna get dealt either. So like they just have these like guarantees in their contracts where it's kind of impossible to do right now.
I didn't actually know that. I was for sure I thought Julio might have gotten moved at the deadline, to be honest.
Yeah, you would think because the Falcons are rebuilding, it just with his contract, it's literally impossible. Like it would be
Okay.
dumb for the Falcons to do. So I can't see that happening. So Atlanta's obviously gonna. Is this game in Atlanta or Carolina?
It's in Carolina. I'm picking Carolina with or without Christian McCaffrey playing.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Carolina too. I actually switched my pick last week. I picked the Saints on here and I switched it to Carolina last
Okay.
Sunday only because Michael Thomas and then I heard Emmanuel Sanders was out for
I'm
COVID.
gonna get to.
So
I
yeah,
guess I
that's
could.
why I switched my pick. I just didn't think the Saints would. That was a good game though, and Carolina played
I'm not
well.
gonna cover the Saints part of it because this is
Yeah,
the
we'll get to the
Panthers
Saints
talk about
part.
right now. The
But Teddy
Panthers though.
Bridgewater had a good game against the Saints. Like he's been playing good all year.
Um.
And DJ Moore had his kind of big game this year. Kind of Robbie was a little bit quiet, not that quiet, but compared to
Well,
his regular season.
here's the dilemma. I'm not gonna. I'm trying not to cover the Saints. The dilemma with the Panthers right now is obviously it's known their defense. Okay, they were actually doing a good job containing Alvin Kamara. So the rush defense surprisingly like played decent.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with them is just okay. So it's not like Drew Brees is like Justin Herbert or this new quarterback coming in the league where you don't really know how to game plan against him. You don't really know enough of him to know his strengths, weaknesses, how to exploit it. Drew Brees has been in the league for over 15 years. And you should know the last thing you should do against Drew Brees is play his own defense. You should not do it. He will find the holes and the soft spots in every single defense. He's seen all the different coverages throughout his career. He's seen everything, right? And especially when you don't have the Saints' top two receivers in the game, he's throwing. This game reminded me of like 2015 Drew Brees, where he's playing with nobodies and he's making it work, throwing 6 touchdowns a game to all 6 different receivers I've never heard of. He was throwing a bunch of new guys brought up from practice squad. That was a classic Drew Brees game. I was happy to see him play like that. But what's Carolina's decision making? And then they come back into half after getting dotted up. Drew Brees was all like 80% completion percentage, 90% completion percentage in the first half, something crazy. And you don't switch to man defense. How do you not make adjustments in the second half? Their offense started clicking better, Carolina's, but you need the defensive play calling it wasn't the defense that lost in the game, it was their play calling that lost in the game. Because that was a close game up until the end.
Yeah, and then Teddy Bridgewater got sacked and Gano missed the 5-yard field goal by 1 yard, so it was close.
Yeah.
But I think part of that reason was because Russell Douglas, the corner they got from Philly, was actually playing really well this year. He got put on the COVID list last week, so he didn't play against the Saints, and I'm pretty sure he's not playing tomorrow night. So.
I know, but that means you don't play man defense because you have one corner out. You can't switch
they definitely didn't trust their corners. I'm sure you've seen they
to
released
play
Eli
these
Apple.
sorry zones. There's no way you could go and play Drew Brees and the Saints in New Orleans and expect to beat them playing these soft, sorry zone coverage.
Yeah, no, I hear you're saying. Just the Panthers probably knew at the end of the day they didn't have they wanted to contain Kamara as best as they could, and without Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders, try to let even if Brees had a good day.
Yeah, and I don't get it either because they saw going into the game plan like, okay, they lost to the Raiders, they lost to the Packers, and in both instances they played primarily man defense against the Saints, and it was working. They don't have Michael Thomas to rely on third down. As long as you have a fast linebacker, I'm not saying you could contain Kamara because he's a beast, but you could help slow down Kamara as long as you have like a sideline to sideline fast running linebacker, and just play man defense against them. They don't have the receivers to beat you like that. They're not going to get open. They don't cause separation. And you play the sorry soft zone coverage that Drew Brees just was wheeling and dealing. He didn't even have trouble. There was no struggle. So I think the Panthers are a great team. For Jets fans too, so for you, Ryan, and I love the Jets too, and for anybody listening, here's my hot take. This offseason, if the Jets could find a way, it's all speculative, if they could draft Trevor Lawrence and hire Joe Brady as their head coach, not next year, 2021, in 2022, the Jets could be an AFC Championship team.
Yeah, that means we'd have to draft exceptionally well. But I don't for anyone like that cares. But Joe Douglas's first
the cap
class
space
has been pretty well this year.
Yeah, and you have the cap space.
Yeah, but
if you get the quarterback, get a year under his belt in Joe Brady's system.
Yeah, I think 2022 is a little bit early though. I still think that'll be like because we have a long way to go.
At least a divisional appearance.
Okay, yeah, because
A
I can
divisional
agree.
round
This
appearance.
division isn't that good anyway. Patriots are going to be
Okay,
rebuilding.
a divisional round appearance is very, very likely if you have Trevor Lawrence and Joe Brady. I'm just saying that now.
Yeah,
If you want a culture
if you get the right coach in here with the culture, and you have a GM who can draft well, you can see like Carolina was expected to finish in the top 3, maybe even first overall pick this year. And look, even though they only have 3 wins, look at like how they're competing with in games, and they could have won a lot of the games even they lost. So
yeah, and then people thought they would be one of the worst teams in the league
yeah, people were saying Trevor Lawrence is going to go from South what's it called
to south to
South
north.
Carolina, yeah, so just straight over to North Carolina. So, but
And everybody loves Eric Bieniemy. I love him too. He would be like my second
yeah,
preference.
I think he will get a head coaching job this year. Like, there's going to be a lot of openings.
Yeah. Oh, there's gonna be a ton of openings.
Yeah, Jacksonville,
But
Jets, Falcons.
I think Joe Brady as a head coach and with the right team, right? You have a GM who gives him the players he needs, and Joe Brady's gonna have his say in, he's one of those coaches who's gonna have his say in who gets drafted and who's gonna be his guy. If you match up Trevor Lawrence and Joe Brady, I might finally start drafting Jets players in fantasy.
Outside of Jamison Crowder, of course. All right, let's move. Let's move on. So I think me and you are both going Carolina.
Yep.
Just based on Markello stance, he's going Carolina. He's not picking
He's not
Falcons
picking the
ever
Falcons again for
so,
the year. Yeah,
yeah,
he
not
told
this
us
year
that.
anyway.
And it's gonna be. I think I kind of took a peek at the schedule coming into the podcast. I think we're gonna agree. I think there's only like 2 or 3 games that are gonna go either way. I think it's week 8. We know what teams are. So like Vikings, Packers in Lambeau, it's gonna be the Packers winning that game.
Yeah.
Even without Aaron Jones, because he didn't practice today. I don't think he's.
I don't think he's going to, because Packers are very like safe when it comes to injuries.
Yeah, but that's not going to stop them.
No, Jamal Williams had a good game last week, 90 yards and a touchdown.
And we have Aaron
Rodgers
playing the
outside
way
of
he
that Bucs game has been amazing this year. He
and
bounced
that's
back.
only because the Bucs are top 5
Adams
defense.
came back, and, So,
but here's my worry with the Packers, and for any, if not a Packer
and
fan.
Lazard is practicing this week. Doesn't mean he's coming back, but he returned to practice today. So that's encouraging for the Packers going forward.
And there's a report this morning that the Packers are interested in trading for Will Fuller. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, and if they can get him for not a first round pick, if they can get him for like a second or lower, I would do that if I'm the Packers, because like you have a couple injuries, and I feel like that would help stabilize. You'd have a lot of options then for Rodgers instead of just worrying if Devontae Adams is going to get hurt.
Here's my issue for Packer fans, right, or Aaron Rodgers fans. So obviously the past few years haven't been like great for Aaron Rodgers, right? Just statistically, just the way the team has been, right? Blame it on whatever you want. You could blame it on, McCarthy when he was still there, whatever the case is. It's even last year with Matt LaFleur, right? Their regular season schedule last year was so pathetically like easy that I remember we last year were saying that the Packers are the pretending team in the playoffs, and they made it all the way to the NFC Championship game, right? And they got obliterated by San Francisco, as they did in the regular season.
Twice, yeah.
Yeah, as they did in the regular. So my concern with the Packers, just like the Bucs, they get blown out by real playoff contenders, like Super Bowl contending teams blow out this team, and we see it time in, time out. The only team that they beat that I think is Super Bowl contending is the Saints. But again, that was without Michael Thomas, and that's when the Saints were playing like poor and pathetic. We lost to the Raiders. No disrespect to the Raiders, and they barely got out of that game. So I think they're fine against the Vikings. I don't think the Vikings are a playoff team this year. Despite all the ups and downs of Kirk Cousins, one week he plays good, the other week he doesn't. Justin Jefferson, again, looks like a promising, young prospect for them. Because Adam Thielen, he's like 31 years old, I think. So he's going to be the new wide receiver there in the coming years. Dalvin Cook, I think, is playing.
Yeah, he returned to practice today. So
the Packers are known to have bad run defense, but I'm not saying, again, this is just like week 1, I think they played the Packers-Vikings, right, when the Packers blew them out.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be that big again. But,
it's not going to be a blowout, but I don't see the Packers losing to them, especially in Lambeau.
Same thing. The Vikings seem to be kind of like the Falcons this year, where I wouldn't say that like the Vikings necessarily deserve only one win, but it's like a combination of games. Kirk Cousins, like you said, doesn't play well. And when Dalvin Cook didn't play, Alexander Madison had a very poor week. Like they didn't have a run game, so that was a bit concerning. And the Vikings defense major disappointment this year. Like they already traded Yannick Ngakoue. They traded for him, and then 60 days later they trade him to the Ravens. And I understand why, because you only have one win. You're obviously not going to the playoffs, and you're not going to extend him. So it makes sense. It's just crazy how in a matter of a month and a half to 2 months, you went from last year being one game out of the NFC Championship game to you have one win on the season. This is going to be a major rebuild. It looks like.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they
And I
extended.
can't believe they extended
Zimmer.
exactly. Why would
Yeah.
you extend the coach going into a rebuild?
And the GM.
And Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, and Kirk Cousins. And I understand. At least Kirk Cousins had a good year last year. That's probably the best year of his career. So I guess you can make that argument. But at this point, how big of an upgrade was Kirk Cousins from Case Keenum?
And you've seen him in the playoffs. You know he's not going to deliver you what you need.
Yeah.
All
So
he has in the playoffs is his resume is beating the Saints over and over again. That's it. So congratulations, you can beat the
Kirk
Saints.
Cousins, even the good years, the last couple of years he's been on the Vikings, even though they made the playoffs, it felt like they never beat Aaron Rodgers. You didn't beat anybody in the division, and they never beat the Bears. Even Chase Daniels came in and beat him. So
Yeah.
there's no marquee victory for me. So the Vikings are. I'm going Packers here. The Packers just seem they go 5-1 or 6-0 in their division every year. So
back to the point of my Packers thing is I only wish, and I wish I could have been able to see this, if they didn't waste their first 2-round picks on players that don't see the field anyway. AJ Dillon saw the field last week because there's no Aaron Jones, but still not an impact player. And then Jordan Love, obviously not an impact player. He's not going to see the field. If they would have drafted those 2 first-round picks on a defense and then traded for Will Fuller this year, they would have been a legitimate Super Bowl contender.
Even if they would have taken a receiver, honestly, with one of the picks.
You have to question. I understand the Packers are big on building for their future. They did it with Rodgers and Favre. Now they're doing the same thing, the same kind of plan. But that original plan only won you 1 Super Bowl because you don't commit to win now. You don't give him the weapons to win now. You're worried about these contingency plans. You know what I mean? And at some point, you have to pull the trigger and make the moves to win now. And what a waste of 2 picks.
Yeah. And those picks might be the difference. Like you said, that might be the difference in losing a playoff game.
Yeah.
You could have had an impact player, and this will all be determined how good Jordan Love is, though, in a couple of years. But for right now, Packers went 13-3 last year, like you said, and it's a championship game.
And Aaron Rodgers is not going to retire a Packer. He's going to play at some point in the next few years. He will be playing in a different.
And I will say that even though last year the Packers went 13-3, Rodgers wasn't very good last year. The stats were, but it wasn't the typical Rodgers year. This year he looks a lot better, and they didn't really do anything to upgrade the offense.
I do hope, this is my little secret wish, I do hope that. So there was a report that came out a while ago that if Drew Brees decided to retire last year, coming into this year, that the Saints would have been they were most interested in Tom Brady, and Tom Brady would have been interested in them. So I'm not saying I'd rather have Brady than Brees, but given how, the season's going so far, I know this is Drew Brees' last year. I'm starting to accept that it's his last year he's going to retire. So if Aaron Rodgers wants to come to New Orleans, I'd be more than open to that. But I know he has California ties, and Jimmy G doesn't prove himself this season, he could be a 49er. That's realistic.
That's interesting. If for whatever reason they had to release him, I know that man would stay in the division out of spite. If he got his wish.
You think?
If he got his wish, he's gonna get. If the Packers move on,
Chicago
traded. But damn for sure, if he gets cut, he's staying in the division, like Brett Favre. If he gets his wish. And it wouldn't matter.
Go to the Vikings.
It wouldn't matter what team he would go to. He would just beat the Packers.
Well, yeah, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
Again, that's
we'll get there when it's
2 years down the line, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to be this year, this offseason anyway.
We have Panthers, we have Packers. Now, we talk about, let's go, Tennessee Titans at Cincinnati Bengals.
All right, just before we start, the Cowboys officially cut Dontari Poe and Darryl Worley, so they couldn't get a trade partner for them. So Dallas are obviously, committed to the tank, possibly.
I think that's what's happening. I think they see Dak's not there, and I'm seriously starting to consider, because Jerry Jones is slimy, and I think he knows for a fact that he doesn't want to, especially now, given this brutal injury that Dak has, give him a 5-year, crazy big extension. I don't even know the number that Dak's thinking of, which he's going to want even more so now after this injury. Jerry Jones might be looking to draft a quarterback.
That'd be wild if they're in play for Justin Fields or Trey Lance.
which is real possibility. 3 points. You have Amari Cooper. I don't care who your quarterback is. And I know Andy Dalton hasn't played good, but up till this season, it's not like he was a trash can in Cincinnati. It was more of the team around him and the coaching staff. Because Andy Dalton could pull off an upset win when he has to.
Yeah, this is like Dalton was never obviously like you said he wasn't great, but he's not this bad. This is players quitting. Like they're not prepared. They've already complained that
calling out coaching staff.
Mike McCarthy stinks. Like he should be fired at the end of the year. I don't care if
he's not going to. Like, Jerry Jones is not going to do that.
I mean, he should because like we joked about it about like how he's not an upgrade over Jason Garrett, but it's not even like close. Like Jason Garrett was at least decent to mediocre. Like he got them. They were a competent team.
His players played for him.
Yeah, they played for him, and for most of his career, they made the playoffs or they were close. And I understand Dak got hurt, so like obviously it's not. They're not going to be great this year anyway with Dak injured, but still.
We'll get to them because thank God we're in for a treat. That's the Sunday night game, Cowboys-Eagles. I love watching that matchup. Anyway, Tennessee Bengals.
That was a good game, Browns versus Bengals.
I feel so bad too. Joe Burrow deserved that win.
Yeah,
he deserved it as much as like many of the games this year. He deserved to win.
Yeah, I will say it was a great performance from Baker after Odell tore his ACL and everything. So,
and that goes to show you that look, I understand like everybody clowns on Baker. Go for it. I understand everybody clowns on Baker, but the issue is it just wasn't a good fit, him and Odell. They tried it, and it goes to show you that no matter what big name receiver you stick with any quarterback, if they're not a chemistry fit, if they don't know how to play with each other and gel, Jarvis Landry gels better with Baker than Odell does, and it's just a simple matter of fact. Obviously, we wish Odell speedy recovery because regardless of his stats the past 2 years in Cleveland, he's still one of the top receivers in the league. He just needs to be in the right system because he was making it work with Eli Manning, who was mediocre to way below average. So I hope Odell ends up in a good situation. I hope he's not in the Cleveland Brown uniform anymore. That's going to be disappointing. As I was saying before, I feel bad for Joe Burrow. He deserved so many wins this season that he's just not getting. His defense keeps letting up. That was a great throw and catch by Baker to Donovan Peoples-Jones at the end of the game, the last play, essentially. Rashard Higgins showed up. I think he had a 100-yard game. So these are going to be the guys you're going to see now. Since Chubb is still out for a few more weeks, you're going to still see Kareem Hunt out of the backfield. You're going to see a lot. Jarvis Landry is going to, I think, primarily play in the slot now. And then you're going to have Donovan Peoples-Jones on one side, and then you're going to have Rashard Higgins on the other. And Baker's going to show what he is without Odell, and it's going to speak volumes to management on what they should do with Odell because they're paying him a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I know some people are talking about how Baker Mayfield plays better without Odell.
And yeah, that's what I was just saying before when you left.
Yeah, I don't know if that was like psychology reasons or just because they have to force it to him in double coverage. Either way, I don't really see it's not a great fit, but at the same time, I don't think they beat even though the Cowboys are struggling, like without Odell that game, like he was fantastic. So it just, it's kind of like I would think it's kind of a weird coincidence, but for some reason, I don't think Baker really fits that well in Cleveland, just with Baker as quarterback.
Yeah. So, but Tennessee, let's talk about them a little bit.
Yeah, that was a great game against the Steelers. Obviously, they were down very early, and then they kind of had that late surge. A.J. Brown had a monster day. And just when you thought they were out of it, they picked off Ben a few times, I think 3 times to come back.
I thought they were going to win the game. I thought they were going to come back and win.
I thought they were going to tie the game. Then they missed the field goal right at the end. So, but either way, I think Tennessee proved that, I think Pittsburgh's the best team or first, second best team in the AFC, and Tennessee, they stayed with them the entire way. I think they proved themselves as a contender. I know there's a lot of questions going into the year about the Titans, whether last year's AFC Championship game is kind of luck. I think they answered all their questions, and I think Titans are a tough matchup for anybody. So this game's going to be fun. I think the Bengals will be. Bengals haven't played well basically all year on offense outside of that Ravens game. I think Burrow will have another 2-3 touchdown performance, but I just think the Titans will be Titans will be just better.
They're a Super Bowl contending team. We have to
Yep.
give them respect. I don't know how much more Ryan Tannehill has to prove.
Yeah.
It's really sad to see what Adam Gase did to him. Imagine what Ryan Tannehill could have been without Adam Gase. Actually, in a way, I think he kind of needed that experience, though. The ACL injury, playing with Adam Gase in order to revive his career like this. So I'm happy for Ryan Tannehill, happy for the Titans. Chris Herndon actually just said he says he feels like he's been used fairly.
Fairly.
Fairly, that's how he puts it. I just think Adam Gase scares the living hell out of everybody.
I don't know what it is. I mean, Herndon might not be that good anyway. But usually, when Gase leaves, you see players that just ascend and become.
I'm not ready to say Chris Herndon's not a good player because he showed his flashes.
No, his rookie year was very promising, and I was really excited for him this year, but it's been just a complete disaster. But then again, when I was watching Miami under Gase, like I loved Gesicki, the draft when he was drafted, and then I seen him play under Gase for that first year, and I was like, he stinks in the pros. Like he just it was just weird stuff where like he's being used as a blocker more. He's not being like that. That's kind of what Herndon is now.
Adam Gase is just he ruins all players.
He doesn't get these players into a rhythm, and then when you go all game, just giving when you give Frank Gore the ball basically all game, and then you want to throw it to the tight end in like the third quarter, and he should catch it because they're pros, but like you know how it is in the NFL, like they'll be drops.
You got to get your guys going early.
No rhythm on offense, so guys haven't touched the ball in 25 minutes, 30 minutes, so.
It's sad, too, because last year was supposed to be the Chris Herndon breakout. Then he dealt with injuries all year.
Yep.
Right? And then this year, again, we were like, okay, if he could stay healthy, maybe it's this year. And
training camp from all, like, reports from all the beat writers were they were like, Chris Herndon, another fantastic catch. He's going to be, probably the big factor in this offense. And it just it's been nothing the first 7 weeks.
And speaking of the Jets, we have the Jets and the Chiefs, Kansas City.
Yeah, I think this is 22.5 point spread. Or maybe 21.5.
It's something crazy.
Yeah.
You have to cover it. You have to.
The Chiefs are going to win this game. No doubt about it. It's going to be a slaughter. Maybe as bad as the Denver. Like Chiefs beat up Denver bad last week.
Yeah, that was embarrassing. I still think Drew Lock's not playing 100%, but still, that was embarrassing.
Yeah, I don't know if Lock's the QB either. I mean, I don't like he might be hurt this year, but.
I mean, his throwing shoulder was sprained, and he rushed back.
No, I understand, but, that was bad. Like, the last 2 weeks he's been playing have been bad. But you give him time. Like, it's only second year, and he missed basically all this year so far. But anyway, we'll get to Denver when they play. But
the Chiefs, think Le'Veon does?
Yeah, this is Le'Veon Bell revenge game. I'm sure he'll have a touchdown, maybe 2 in this game.
Okay, so what would be your stat line for him?
Le'Veon
Over
Bell.
Under 75 yards, and how many touchdowns?
I'm gonna go over, but I'm gonna go like 80, 85 yards. Like I'm gonna say 60 rushing yards, 12 carries, 60 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown, and then like 3 catches for like 21 yards, something like that.
That's a good game.
Yeah, it's a good game because I want to be realistic because like they're still gonna use Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I know Bell wants this game, and there's gonna be no issues. The Jets aren't gonna win this game, but I know Bell want to have it. He himself will want to have a good individual stat line performance against the Jets.
And if you're wondering about the Jets selling at the trade deadline, they came out and said, Joe Douglas said that, and Adam Gase said too, that Quinnen Williams isn't going anywhere. All the rumors and reports were false, and that they talked to Quinnen and his agent and told them that they're not going anywhere.
That never made any sense to me anyway. He was like the only bright spot on defense this year, and he's 22 years old in his second year.
And even last year too, when everybody thought the Jets were selling their players, they made it clear the only 2 untouchables was Sam and Quinnen.
Yeah, but last year I guess there was a little bit scared only because even though it was rookie year, he didn't play that great. But this year you can see he's a different player.
And so remember, even though it's year 2, you're like, okay, year 2 you want to see a jump, but the real jump in the NFL for players like that, I feel like is from year 2 to 3, right? Or even 3 to 4. We see with Calvin Ridley. That's where you see most of the big jumps to like stardom. But Quinnen Williams, you have to remember too, how old is he? He's 22 years old. He's just something crazy.
Yeah, he's 22, and he is, I think, 3.5 sacks this year so far, and there's been 1 or 2 disallowed because of penalty.
22 years old. Yeah, so he's our age.
Yeah, and he's a building piece. Like the Jets don't have many. You keep the building pieces.
Yeah,
it'd be different if he scored. Like he's not 29. It's not like he's.
Would you deal Crowder?
No.
You keep him for Trevor
only if I would have to get like a second end of the second round pick, maybe third.
Okay.
But I still wouldn't
Anybody
because
else? Obviously, Mims, you're not trading. You don't know what you have in them.
yeah, basically anyone else on the team.
Okay. Well, look, we still have how many more weeks till trade deadline?
1 week. It's next Tuesday.
Okay. So we'll see all these teams
The
get
Jets
their
will
moves.
probably be sellers. There'll probably be 1 or 2 that'll be sold.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised. Even if it's like, again, not big deals, you're gonna see like 6th-round picks be exchanged and stuff that we've been seeing with like Steve McClendon or whatever the case is. So we'll see stuff like that. Chiefs, same thing. They look dominant. Defense came back to form. Granted, it was against Drew Lock and the Broncos, but still, you want the momentum and the confidence of the defense. Travis Kelce only had like 3 catches, I think, but again, you don't need him when your defense is scoring pick sixes and getting fumbles and all this such. So I think everybody in the world is picking the Chiefs to win. It's not even, a second thought. Let's move on to the next game.
Yeah, it's gonna be Chiefs. My bad. I don't know why UPS. I've had a ton of packages over the last 10 minutes.
All good, all good. We have the Indianapolis Colts going to the fresh off the W Detroit Lions.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pick the Lions in this one.
Ryan, they're teasing you.
I'm circling the wagon again. I don't know. The Lions are playing well. Michael Pittman returned to practice today. I don't know if he's gonna play this week, but that's an encouraging sign, whether it's this week or next week. So that's good for
They
the
need the
Colts.
help.
They need the help. I just think ever since the bye week, the Lions defense has played well, and the Lions win over Arizona looks better now than it did a few weeks ago. I think they, beat up Jacksonville pretty well, and they played well against the Falcons. Trey Flowers had a strip sack. They kept the Falcons. I didn't expect them to keep them under. What was it? Like, I know Calvin Ridley had a touchdown, but it wasn't a crazy day for Julio. Had close to 100 yards, but could have been a lot worse.
Todd Gurley falling in the end zone.
I thought they did pretty well against the Falcons, especially because the Falcons, even though they're not a great team, they are very good offensively. So I feel like the Lions defense has played pretty well, and Kenny Golladay, it seems like every catch he makes is like a circus catch. Like he just goes up for it, gets hit in double coverage, he comes down with it. And TJ Hawkinson's had a big year, and the Lions are using DeAndre Swift now a lot these past 2 weeks. So
yeah, I'm happy for him.
Me too. You can see
talented to be stuck
what
behind
the
the running
offense.
back.
Like instead of using Adrian Peterson and Kerryon Johnson, it's such an upgrade with Swift. So I'm gonna go Lions here, but I think this is gonna be a really close game again.
It's in Detroit.
I don't think it matters this year. I'm gonna read you a stat that I had ready for today.
Oh,
it was some weird stat about like how it's home field advantage is like at an all-time low. I'm gonna pull it up right now. But I think it will be close. Here it is. In 2020, home field advantage, it's 53 wins for the home teams, 51 losses, and 1 tie.
Oh, so it's
it's literally almost even.
Yeah, it's 50-50.
So.
All right, so I'll take your statistic and use it against you. I'm picking the Colts. I still believe in this team. I believe in this offensive line, Jonathan Taylor. Phillip Rivers, although you might have his question marks, is he done yet? Is he a year away from being done? As of right now, I think he's more than capable of beating teams like Detroit. I'm not going to pick them to beat, like the Tampa Bays of the world, or even, New Orleans, or any of those kind of teams. Even San Francisco, I think I would pick over the Colts, but against the
Colts
Detroit
over
Lions.
San Francisco?
No, I said I'd pick San Francisco over the Colts.
Okay.
But that's something maybe we could do next week. We could do a halfway through the season power rankings.
I'm with it.
We could do something like that. I think that would be good. About picking the Colts. Just again, I think they're a better roster right now overall. Whether or not you think Matt Stafford's better than Phillip Rivers right now, just overall as a roster, the defense is tremendously better. Offensive line is better. I like DeAndre Swift. I just think Jonathan Taylor's better, especially given the offensive line. It's just, obviously the receivers on Detroit, even though Marvin Jones has kind of been a no-show this year, and again, he's up there in age, so maybe that's contributing. And I don't know why Kenny Golladay, like you say, he makes his circus catches, but he only has a few catches a game. I would hope.
Well, he's been getting close to 100 yards per game since he's been back. I know he's been hurt a lot.
But I don't know. I'd incorporate some of the Michael Thomas underneath kind of routes for Kenny Golladay.
Yeah, so would I.
Not just the big play running.
He just don't really have a lot outside of Golladay. Like it's Hawkinson, and then once in a while you get the Amendola. crosser. But
I know. I just feel like everybody's so set in their roles, and I feel like it's good for an offense to open up the route tree to different receivers. I think Kenny Golladay is ready to have a bigger route tree under his arsenal.
yeah, I would agree.
But any case, I still think the Colts again are a better quarterback away, and definitely need a star receiver to make any real threat in the playoffs. They need to make a move. Not I'm saying at the trade deadline, but in the offseason, they need to make a move for. I know there's rumors Michael Thomas might get traded. I don't think he will.
I think that was false. Like, I don't listen to Pro Football Talk, so.
Yeah. So, but you need to make a move for a Julio Jones or an Odell Beckham or one of these star-studded receivers who might be available. Maybe an Allen Robinson. You need somebody.
Yeah.
Because T.Y. Hilton's out the door after this year.
He's struggling anyway, so.
And Michael Pittman, I like as a receiver, but he's not the kind of receiver that's going to get you, 10 catches a game like a Julio can, right? So you need a number one receiver there. But again, that's an off-season issue. I'm taking the Colts. You're taking the Lions.
Yeah, I'm sure Markello will take the Colts here. But
great divisional game. I want you to go first. I'm excited to hear what you have to say. Pittsburgh Steelers at Baltimore Ravens.
I think this is going to be the matchup of the week. Ravens are coming off a bye. And I think these are kind of outside of the Chiefs. These are the two best teams in the AFC. And Tennessee, if you want to, I'll accept Tennessee in there. But this is one of the best rivalries in football, just throughout our lifehood, throughout our childhood. And I think this is going to be a good one, like a really good one. Last year, this game actually went to overtime, and Mason Rudolph and I believe Duck Hodges came into that game. And the Ravens ended up winning, but that's how good the Steelers' defense was last year, and it's still like that good this year. And I know Ben kind of struggled a little bit toward the end of Tennessee, and it wouldn't shock me if Baltimore win this, but I'm going Steelers. I picked Steelers to go to the Super Bowl, and I think they are the best team in the AFC, even over the Chiefs.
Yeah, look, at some point the Steelers have to fall. They have to drop a game.
Yeah, they're going to fall, but
I just don't think this week is the game where they drop it. I just think matchup-wise, how they match up personnel against the Ravens, it's perfect. Just look at strength and weaknesses, right? So we know the Steelers have a top 3 defense in the league, maybe the best defense in the league. Like Baltimore, too. I think both of these teams both have top 3 defenses.
Yeah.
Here where the difference lies, right? So if you – actually, it's kind of the same with the defenses. So both defenses – they're phenomenal against the run. It's very hard to run against both defenses. And against both defenses, if you want a chance to win, you're going to be forced to throw the ball. And even then, you might have a few turnovers just because how good their secondaries are. So I'm not trying to say like, oh, the secondary is Pittsburgh's weakness, because it's not. We saw Minka Fitzpatrick and, Joe Hayden.
Baltimore would have the advantage of secondary because they have the best one, them or maybe the Patriots, best secondary in the league.
So the Baltimore would have to throw the ball if they want to beat the Steelers. The problem is they don't have people to throw the ball to. And you're without Mark Ingram, so J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards is going to, they're going to get their touches this week, but to no avail. I don't think combined they're going to get 100 yards rushing.
They struggled all year, all 3 of them, in running.
Maybe Lamar will, like if you combine Lamar's rushing total with, Dobbins and Edwards, maybe then they'll hit 100 rushing yards. But without Lamar, these 2 running backs aren't hitting 100 rushing yards against this defense. And again, time and time, we know how to beat Baltimore. Get a lead on them, force them to throw the ball in the second half, and you're going to beat them. And I think that's what we're going to see. I think there's going to be a few, maybe even a Pittsburgh turnover, just maybe a few 3 and outs, right, or 6 and outs. But there's going to be those drives where somebody breaks open, whether it's Deontay Johnson, who had a phenomenal game, or if Claypool might have a big game, maybe not, but he's always a threat down the field. So they have big play options, the Steelers, and all you need is like 2 good drives to establish a lead. And if you're up 14-0 against Baltimore, you're sitting comfortably.
Yeah, although division games are tricky, so this could be the time that
it could go either way. The Ravens could win, but if I'm a betting man, I'm picking the Steelers.
Yeah, I think the Steelers just kind of match up well. Like you said, Deontay Johnson had his week last week. I know he got hurt again. I hope he's okay. I didn't see the practice reports.
He's going to be in and out of the lineup all week. All year.
But either way, the Steelers can go like 4 for 4. Like Chase Claypool, Juju, James Washington can get involved. And James Conner if they need to throw him out of the backfield. Like they'll figure it out. Even Ebron. So, but I'm going Pittsburgh here, but I would not lock this game in. Like, it would not stun me if
Yeah,
Baltimore.
if you're picking, if you're in a survivor league,
Yeah, don't
and
pick
you
this game
don't
because
pick this game.
Baltimore are coming off a bye week, and I know that Baltimore are like Chesley Lamar has talked about how he's not like satisfied with the offense this year. So we'll see if they have any adjustments coming off the bye.
Okay. We have next game the Los Angeles Rams going to the Miami Dolphins. This is
Tua time.
Tua starting, right? Tua
Yeah,
time.
Tua era is going to begin this Sunday.
And unfortunately, it's going to be getting against Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald. And I'll just get it out of the way. I'm picking the Rams. I'm not
That's it,
trusting a
straight
rookie
away.
quarterback. I'm not trusting a rookie quarterback, even though I think Tua is going to have a good career. As long as he stays healthy, he will be a good quarterback. And even though they have Devonta Parker, and the defense is playing good this year, as expected under Brian Flores, it's just I'm not picking Tua, a rookie quarterback, to outscore a Sean McVay offense, regardless if Tyler Higbee plays. And even though like they beat the Bears, the Rams, it's not like it was like in dominant fashion. You know what I mean?
I think it was pretty dominant, to be honest.
Was it a dominant fashion, or was it just that the Bears couldn't score points?
Well, that's every week with the Bears.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, we've seen a better Rams offense. This isn't
Oh
the
yeah,
best
this is the
offense.
Super Bowl Rams offense, but
Yeah,
this is
it's
good.
not.
It's
Yeah,
close,
and
not close, but it's a lot better than it was last
a
year.
rookie
Whole Rams
quarterback
team.
who has to throw against Jalen Ramsey and run away from Aaron Donald is not going to outscore this offense.
Yeah, I
Again, the
agree.
Rams defense is very bend don't break, but when you put in a rookie quarterback, this should have been Ryan Fitzpatrick playing this specific week.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't mind. I mean, I know he came off the win against the Jets, and they were 3-3 when they benched Fitzpatrick, but
I'm not mad at the benching in general. Like, everybody's flipping out, thinks it's a bad call. I
I
remember
think
people were, slamming the table, wanting Tua to start towards the beginning of the year.
yeah,
Right? They're like, oh, we see
and
Justin Herbert playing against the Saints. I remember after that Saints game, Justin Herbert, people were dying for Tua to be an out starter.
yeah, because Herbert has been amazing.
Yeah, they're like, play the rookie quarterback. It's old school stuff to sit them for a year. You don't need to redshirt them if you need to play them.
Yeah, and the quarterback class, Burrow, Herbert, and we'll see Tua. But if Tua is good, then this is a really good class. So there's a lot of pressure on him now, obviously, to come in and perform. And I will say that I think the Bills. It's pretty clear they're going to win the AFC East. But I think the division's wide open. I don't think the Bills are good. I said this like week one. They're good. They were overrated last year, and they're figuring it out this year. They scraped it. They scraped by the Jets, but for some reason the Bills are struggling. I don't think the Dolphins are going to win this year, but it's not totally out of the picture. They have 3 wins. The Bills only have 5. So, and the I mean, you could call it luck or whatever. The Dolphins beat the Niners, which I don't think the Bills are going to be able to. But
I just think the Niners, I think that was just an off week. I think they were expecting to win the game, or maybe they were just defeated by injuries and they just kind of accepted losing because they didn't have their
yeah,
guys. But
I mean, we'll see. We got to see how Tua is first. That's going to determine everything. But if Tua is good, don't be stunned if the Dolphins kind of go to week 14 or 15 still in the AFC East title picture because it looks like the Patriots will be out of it. So
who are you picking for this week?
I'm picking the Rams this week. This is a
Okay.
tough matchup for Tua to be introduced
Yeah.
to. The Rams, I think the Dolphins defense is good this year, but just what the Rams do, Rams kind of do a little bit of everything. Like if
We
the
talked
Dolphins
about
want to
this.
shut down the run, like they can stop Henderson, but okay, we'll throw it to Robert Woods or Cooper Kupp. But I will say the Dolphins have a pretty good secondary. Like Byron Jones, Xavier Howard's bounced back this year. I think he has 4 interceptions. There's talk about him being on the trade block, but the Dolphins kind of shut that down. Said that was a false rumor.
Yeah, I
So
don't see why they would trade him.
yeah, neither do I. They would also be a team that took a lot of dead money for trading him, so it would make
Yeah.
no sense. And the Dolphins are 3-3, so it's not like they're not bad. But I'll pick the Rams here. But I do think this. I think the Dolphins will make it like close. I think the
It's
Rams
gonna
will
be
just
fun to
pull
watch. I
away.
really want to watch Tua.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a lot better of a game than the Rams versus Bears.
Agreed. Okay, you're gonna start off with this one because I want you explaining. Another divisional game: the Patriots at Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. Well, there's no running away from it. Cam Newton's been very bad in the last 2 weeks. Whether that's him, shoulder again, or maybe it's just COVID stuff. I know Belichick kind of downplayed it and said, no, he has no symptoms or anything like that. But for whatever reason, Patriots were good and Cam was good before he got COVID, and then since he's been back, it's been a disaster.
Was
He
he
was
good or
ter-
was it the defenses he played?
yeah, and he was terrible against Denver, and then he threw 3 interceptions and was benched against the Niners. So we'll see if it was just a week or two thing. It looks like it might just be, Cam might just be done. Um, but at the same time, the Bills aren't playing well. Like I think this is going to be another. They played last year where the Patriots won 17-10. I think it's going to be another ugly game like that, like a really slugfest game. But I'm going to pick the Bills. I can't like even though the Bills aren't playing well either. From what I've seen the past 2 weeks from the Patriots and Cam, like how could you pick the Patriots this week? You know what I'm saying? Like it was so bad that like you can't. Even though the Bills are playing bad, Patriots are playing a lot worse right now.
Yeah.
Nope.
So just to
Bills.
touch on a Patriots rumor, I texted this to you and our friend actually. There's rumors that Stephon Gilmore might be traded, whether it's in the offseason or trade deadline.
He put his house up
Um,
for sale today.
did he?
Yep.
Okay, so that's maybe a trade deadline thing, right?
I think it's if the Patriots win this week, he'll stay. If they lose this week, they're basically gone from the division picture, like for winning the AFC. So this game might have more like on the line than you think.
Yeah, so I texted Ryan and another Saints fan that we know. The Saints need Stephon Gilmore. I don't know how much everybody keeps up with the Saints, but Marshawn Lattimore, it's not that he's bad. He's a good cornerback, but for whatever reason, his best year was his rookie year, which makes no sense to me. It seems like you're supposed to get better every year, especially as a cornerback. You learn more. And it seems like every year he gets slightly worse. And I don't know why. His weakness was always quick receivers, right? So he's good against like the Mike Evans, right? And even though like Julio will have like when they play the Saints, like he'll have whatever 4 catches for like 90 yards. It's usually like big plays on like busted coverages, not so much like Lattimore's fault. But still, if you could keep to Julio to 50 yards or less, which he's done before, that's a good job against Julio Jones, right? Man
Mhm.
to man. So he's usually good against those bigger receivers, right? But for whatever reason, Adam Thielen kills him. Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be big name receivers as long as they're just quick receivers. So like these slot guys. So like
Yeah, the quick,
let's say we
quick
play
and
like an
twitchy ones.
Danny Amendola kind of type or a Julian Edelman type, they would have their way with Lattimore. He's just not quick. So I don't trust him going into a playoff game to guard a number one receiver. The past 2 years, I've been saying, even when we lost in the wild card round I was watching with Ryan, I was saying, put Janoris Jenkins on Adam Thielen. What more are we waiting for? Every play, there's a third down, the ball is going to Adam Thielen. Everybody knows it, and Lattimore can't stop it. Put Jenkins on him. Switch it. So I think I have more faith in Janoris Jenkins right now as a corner. Although our true, I'm talking about the Saints. Anyway, I want Stephon Gilmore. I have no faith in Cam Newton. I had no faith in when he was in Carolina. And then even in the offseason when he got traded to the Patriots, I know you were big on it. And Markel was. I know we've been arguing for years, like where he places, like in the league amongst the quarterbacks. And I always told him, like, Ryan, Cam Newton's an average quarterback, so middle of the pack, if not below average. I could easily name 10 better quarterbacks than Cam Newton. And I was saying that for years. It's not just now recency bias. I've been saying it for a while. So I was big on the Bills coming into this year. I thought the offense would get, even though I'm not a bigger believer in Josh Allen, I do think that the offense as a whole would take a step forward, getting Stephon Diggs. And in essence, it has, passing
You
wise.
know what the real issue is? When John Brown doesn't play, that offense falls apart. I think it's pretty evident the last 3 weeks
I
where
think he's going to play this week, though.
he's back this week, but he's been in and out of the lineup with like that foot
Yeah.
injury. And the Bills can't not that they can't. They have no run game. Like, well, let's be honest. Devin Singletary, whatever reason they don't like him, they don't really give him the ball, and when he does, he's not that effective with it. So it's basically just Josh Allen running the football. And when John Brown doesn't play, it's so where's Stephon Diggs? And then they find Cole Beasley here and there, but not enough. And they have Dawson Knox has been injured too, so they haven't really had any tight end help.
So if you want to take advantage of a Bills team who, again, John Brown's going to play on offense, but the real issue with the Bills has been their defense this year, and I thought that would be their strongest point. I thought they were coming into the league with the top 3 defense. I thought they were up there with the Steelers and the Ravens, and they just
They were
weren't
last
playing
year.
like it.
They
Yeah,
were like the drop off has been insane. in 1 year.
And if you're not throwing to as long as you don't throw towards Tre'Davious White, have a field day against this team. Whether it's running the football, which is a huge weakness, or if it's Josh Norman should not be in the league. He not like a practice squad maybe. Like he should not be a starting corner in this league. He gets beat by all these no-name wide receiver 2s and 3s. He gets lost in coverage. He has his eye like more so like on the quarterback than the receiver itself. And especially on post routes, like he gets lost, like turning his head. Like he just loses where the receiver is. So if Cam Newton's going to have a bounce back game, it's going to be against this Bills defense. But I just don't see how he has a bounce back game. Julian Edelman's not what he was with Brady.
The receiver, the Patriots offense is just terrible anyway. Like there was never that many weapons to begin with. Like Demetrius Byrd is his best option.
Yeah, so N'Keal Harry, is he even going to play? Is he hurt? I have no idea.
I'm not sure, but even if he does, he's not going to have a monster game. It'll be like 40 yards.
Yeah, the tight ends are just not used in this offense. Whether they're good or not, it doesn't matter. Cam Newton doesn't throw to them.
Well, they're most likely not good anyway. From last year, Brady couldn't even get them going. So
I'm picking the Bills. So don't be surprised if somehow they could bounce back because I guess name value Cam Newton, he could pull something off, I guess.
Yeah, the Bills are playing bad right now. So if the Patriots do win this, it's not going to be a major shock. But the Patriots also, the last 2 weeks have been abysmal. Like,
yeah, the Patriots aren't showing you anything to give them a reason to pick them
to
win a football game right now. So until they should give you a reason to believe in them, I'm not believing. So that's 2 for the Bills. Then we have the Las Vegas Raiders going to play the Cleveland Browns.
The Raiders coming off a beating.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, what was it, 5 touchdowns?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cleveland are coming off, we mentioned it earlier with the Bengals. Baker Mayfield, I think, had his best game of this year for sure. After, starting off terribly in this game, I think he was 0 for 5 with interception. I was like, oh no, like it's going to be another bad Baker performance. And then the news got worse when you seen Odell went down with a knee injury. I was like,
because of a Baker mistake.
That's probably an ACL.
Which is frustrating.
Then it was an ACL. But then Baker, whatever he did, he pulled down deep, he rallied, and got the game-winning touchdown. Threw 5 touchdowns. He was brilliant last week. We'll see if that continues. But the Raiders have been pretty good this year. I think better than expected, for me at least. But then you've seen what happened against the Buccaneers, who are a Super Bowl contender, and it shows you that the Raiders are still a little bit away, and probably another year away, another offseason away, getting draft picks and some free agents. But for now, I'm going to go Cleveland here. I think this will be a close game. I think Cleveland's defense is a major concern for me. Outside of Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward, this defense stinks for the Browns. The Raiders are going to score points this week. It's not going to be, they're not going to score. I think they scored only 17 or 20 against the Bucs. I expect a high-scoring game.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it's going to be like 37-30, something like a pretty high-scoring game. I think Carr will play well, but I just think the Browns will I think there'll be a play with it. I actually think Baker's going to win this game for them. So I'm going to go Cleveland.
Yeah, this is a game that could go either way. So if you're doing a survivor, I think this is a risky game to bet on because it could go either way. Because I said before when you went to go check your UPS package that Baker, it's just no matter what kind of star name receiver you throw on a team, if he doesn't mesh with the quarterback, the chemistry's not there. It's just not there. It's natural. So it's not natural. So I think he plays better without Odell. I think it's more of a mental thing where he's like, okay, I have Odell Beckham Jr. on my team, and he's a rhythm player, and, we need to get him the ball early. If we don't get him the ball early, he's not going to be, whatever. So we have to force him the ball, and I just think that's not Baker's play style. From Oklahoma, Baker's play style is how Drew Brees likes to play, where it's like, okay, I'm going to throw to, 5 touchdown passes to 5 different receivers, and I'm going to have 10 completions to, different guys. And I'm going to use all my tight ends. I'm going to use the guy who came from the practice squad. He's getting the ball on 3rd down, and he spreads the ball around.
Yeah.
So I think that's good in essence. It's not normal to say that.
like exactly what you're saying. Like that's what Baker was his rookie year. Like that's why he won. Well, I think they gave it to Saquon though, right? But he was basically him and
Yeah,
Saquon went down to rookie of the year, and I think he broke Peyton Manning's rookie touchdown record. So
yeah,
and for whatever reason, the Browns ever since they've gotten Odell, they never used like Baker's best friend his rookie year was Jarvis Landry and Rashad Higgins. Higgins has
yeah,
been active now the last 3 weeks, and then when Odell goes down, who gets over 100 yards and like 6 catches, Rashad Higgins.
yeah.
So, and Harrison Bryant, Austin Hooper gets an appendix. He obviously missed the Sunday's game. I think he's going to miss this week's game. He scores 2 touchdowns. So, like exactly what you're saying, like the ball was being spread around. The offense was, and this wasn't even a running game. Like Kareem Hunt and it wasn't like a
Yeah.
typical
No, it was
Browns
throwing. It was
running game.
Baker throwing the ball.
Baker
It
won
was,
this game. So we'll see. I'm curious to see what happens there. Like, are they going to go back to? Because I know Chubb's planning to come back week 10, so we're going into week 8. I think they have a bye week after this week, so week 9 is a bye. So I'm curious to see how are they going to go back to. I know they were down against the Bengals, so that's why Baker came out throwing. But I'm just curious to see like are the Browns going to be like they've been for the first kind of 6 games, or we're going to see a little bit more of passing. It's going to be 50-50. We'll see.
yeah. So, but despite all that, I'm actually going to pick the Raiders to win the game. I think I'm going to give the Raiders the respect I think they deserve.
Nelson Aguilar.
The coaches that I respect to there, the coaching staff. When you get beat down like that, you get your team back into practice and you go even harder on them. Like, we can't embarrass ourselves. We need to play better. That's not our standard play. And I think they're going to come out like, the Raiders we've seen against like New Orleans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those kind of Raider games I think we're going to get. So I think it's going to be, I think Darren Waller's going to have a big week. I think Josh Jacobs is going to have a big week. And then you're going to have that outlier receiver. You're going to have Henry Ruggs either getting a big play for you, right? Going downfield, making something out of nothing. Or even if he doesn't complete a play, maybe a pass interference on like a dead kind of drive, like a 3rd and long. And there's a pass interference just because the corner couldn't keep up with Henry Ruggs and just free walk down the field, right? So I think the offense is going to be back. Again, they're not playing a top 5 defense, like Tampa. So I'm going to pick the Raiders to win the game. I think they're disciplined enough to come back and make a comeback off a bad week. Like you said, high scoring. It could go either way. I'm just going to go. I have too much respect for the Raiders beating playoff teams, and I haven't seen the Browns do so. So I'm going Raiders.
Yeah, and I will say the Raiders had a bit of a scare last week with the offensive line with the COVID issues. Like Trent Brown obviously didn't play.
Yeah, the whole line was.
So the line didn't really practice last week, so that could have been. I don't think they would have beaten Tampa anyway, but either way. And it's funny, before we move on, Devin White that's who a lot of people mocked the Raiders to pick in that draft class.
Yeah, before they
he
made
gets 3 sacks against them and defensive player of the week. I just found that ironic and pretty funny.
I thought that would have been
that should have been their pick.
No disrespect to Clelin Ferrell.
Should have been their pick. It was
Devin White is a star.
Yeah, obvious pick.
Star. Anyway, another divisional game. We have the Chargers at Denver Broncos. I think it's a pretty easy.
Yeah, I'm going Chargers, man. Even we said it, me, you, and Markello, like last week. Like, how good has Herbert been? If and I've been saying this, like, I know, sometimes it's against competition, but this guy was lighting up the Buccaneers. They lost the game, but ever since he's been in the last 5-6 games since he's played, since week 2 against the Chiefs, this man's been a star. Like, he's been absolutely amazing. It looks like he throws it. Like, the Chargers don't even have a run game. Like, I know Eckler's hurt right now, but like, they get like 8 to 10 rushes a game, and Herbert just airs it out 40 times. And it's not even like, what I love about Herbert is he finds everybody. Like, yes, Keenan Allen is his favorite receiver for obvious reasons. Keenan Allen's a top 5 route runner, amazing.
But you don't know where he's going to go with the football.
He'll get 7 to 8 catches for sure. But then you see, our backup tight end has a touchdown, and then the third string tight end has a touchdown, and then an undrafted free agent catches another touchdown for like 70 yards. So like, Herbert's spreading it out. It's so fun to watch Chargers this year. It really is. Even the games they lose, it comes down. It's Herbert's a star, and Denver are playing like trash right now. So Chargers.
Yeah, it's an easy Chargers. He's going to light up this defense. I really wish, obviously we have to wait till next season. The Chargers defense has been hurt for like 2 or 3 years now, like the whole defense as a whole. So I want to see a Chargers healthy defense. I want to see draft picks used towards the offensive line because Herbert, that's the weakness on their offense right now. Regardless of an Austin Eckler injury, and regardless, I don't think Justin Jackson or Joshua Kelly's good at football. Besides the run game, I'm not even worried about the run game because he can do it all himself with his arm. You need to give him a few more seconds in the pocket. I feel like as soon as the ball's hiked, he has 3 seconds to make a play. And sometimes you need more than 3 seconds. If you want to try a deep shot or whatever the case is, you need to give your receivers time to get open and make separation. So I want to see offensive line draft picks in the offseason. Obviously, the Chargers, I don't think they're going to win anything this year. But next year, again, they're in a hard division. So you're not going to pick them to win the division, obviously. But they're definitely going to be a playoff team next year as long as the defense stays healthy.
Stays healthy, like Derwin James. Yeah. They're really
How do you feel
encouraging.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
How do you feel about Anthony Lynn?
I like Lynn, but there are some times where it's like questionable, like
Very questionable.
like time management, very conservative. That's my main issue. It's just because, and I know what he's dealt with in the past. Like obviously you've had Tyrod Taylor and even Phillip Rivers, the last couple of years, and Rivers is kind of like that wild card. You didn't really know, he could throw a pick any play. He throws the ball. That's what it looks like when for the last few years of Phillip Rivers. So I get that, but the way Herbert's been playing, it feels like that Saints game. They should have put that one away. Like he was just kind of like, oh, we're up big, we got this, and then it's like you don't have it. Like it just feels like it's pretty conservative stuff. Like they should put these teams to bed. Like that, yeah. Herbert has the ability to do that.
And they could be up there with the Chiefs record wise, competing for the playoffs if they did exactly what you said. If they put their foot on the gas.
Yeah.
At halftime in these games.
Every one of these games, they should have beaten the Buccaneers. They should have beaten the Saints.
I actually don't think Anthony. I remember coming into the season. I don't know. You guys remember? I think we were talking about Hard Knocks, whatever. That I believe in Anthony Lynn as a coach, and I do. I just think he should be coaching another team. I don't think it's a good fit right now in Los Angeles because remember when Herbert was put in, he didn't even want to put Herbert in.
Yeah.
He was keeping Tyrod in until he couldn't anymore, until that freak thing with the
Yeah, I think Lynn's like a great leader of men. Like he definitely has their respect. They play 100%. For him, all that.
And he's very disciplined.
But maybe they should hire someone who just like, I don't want to say time management, but someone who kind of like.
You need a coach who's gonna have a lead in the second half and hold on to it.
Yeah, and he should be more aggressive. Maybe it's not him. Maybe that's not his style. But if he wants to hire somebody that just, I don't know, something like that, where like. Because I know he's not technically the offense coordinator.
He's not going to get let go of. He's not on the hot seat, I don't think.
No, I don't think.
It's just personal opinion.
They could have been fired last year, though. But the way Herbert's been looking, I think
he saved his job for this year. So I personally think that they need to make a coaching change, even though it's not so evident. I think if you look between the lines, you just see like how his play calling is in the second half. The defense kind of lets up. They're like, okay, we have the game won. Justin's going to get us more points. We don't really have to, granted, they're not all healthy. That's another concern. But still, you don't let your foot off the gas. You put pressure on third down. You try to get 3 and outs in the second half, regardless of how much you're up by. Because teams keep coming. It's been like this even when Rivers was there with Anthony Lynn. Teams come back against this team.
Yep.
In the second half, they let up points and they don't score points. And at some point, that falls on coaching. And again, I think a lot of people were wrong about Justin Herbert, and I don't want to see him wasted. But I'm going Chargers this week against the Broncos. All right, next game. Let me get this out of the way. Saints at Chicago Bears. Our biggest weekend is Marcus Williams. I didn't tell you this. After a practice this week, you want to get, how Sean Payton is, right? He's like very subliminal, like he'll call people out.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what he did this week?
What?
They were asking him about like struggles with the defense and specifically the secondary, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, what do you think the problem is with the secondary? You know what his answer was?
43.
He goes, well, that's a $6 million. That's the $6. You know how people say that's $1 million question?
Yeah.
Like that's like a, saying. He
Mm-hmm.
goes, well, that's a $6 million question. And
was that a salary?
Fans on Twitter, that's his salary. he subliminally called out Marcus Williams, and I'm just happy that he sees it because it's been years now. His rookie year was promising Marcus Williams, but the past 2 years has been horrible to watch. Ever since the Minneapolis Miracle, that was the beginning of the end. He just gets lost in coverage. And you, as a free safety, your job is to make sure nobody's throwing over deep middle.
Yep.
Right?
Don't get beat over the top.
And that's how you beat the Saints. You beat them over the top. He's horrible at his job.
What happened? Was he responsible for the DJ Moore busted coverage, like a 75-yard
Yeah,
touchdown?
yeah. Any kind of big plays that happens against the Saints. Alan Lazard with that huge
Yeah.
touchdown play he had a few weeks ago. It's always Marcus Williams blown coverages, and we can't keep doing it. At first, it was a bunch of missed tackles. Like again, 2 years ago, that's what his thing was, missed tackles, and now it's developing into coverage, and it's a liability. We can't keep doing it. That's why I want Stephon Gilmore, even though obviously it's not the same position. When you put that much pressure on the wide receivers and you're able to press them at the line, it saves you on the back end.
The tandem of Lattimore and Gilmore would be ridiculous.
Right? And you could still have Janoris Jenkins out there because –
especially against a team like the Buccaneers.
So what I would do, me personally, again, I'm not Dennis Allen, I'm not Sean Payton, I'm a regular fan. I think the best thing for the Saints defense, trade for Gilmore, go all in. This is your window. This is it this year. Get Gilmore because I don't know of any like. Oh, actually, I do know. I think this is a good move too. Earl Thomas is a free agent.
Yeah.
Our problem is Earl Thomas's position.
Yeah, but are they going to bring him in? Like I know there's been complaints about Earl Thomas, the person, the culture.
Yeah, but when you have an established culture, I think you could bring in kind of the fiery personality and manage it.
Yeah, Earl Thomas.
Tell Earl Thomas, look, we're going to give you a 1-year deal.
Yeah, he was. I know he was the meme of like the Derrick Henry stuff, but like in coverage,
you're not employed right now. We'll give you a 1-year deal. Help us win a Super Bowl. That's our goal. It's our only goal. We know we need you to win the Super Bowl. You have talent. 1-year deal, and you could prove to every other team that you're still deserving of a big deal next year. That you still have it. You're still part of the Legion of Boom kind of safety. Bring in Earl Thomas, and if you can't do that, you need to trade for Gilmore. And what I would do is put Gardner Johnson, put him back to free safety, because this year we've been playing him a lot at nickel. Put him back to free safety, bench Marcus Williams, and then we just need somebody, Patrick Robinson, to step up because PJ Williams sucks and he can't play slot corners. He gets beat every time. So we just need the Super Bowl, Philadelphia Eagles winning Patrick Robinson to step up in the slot, which he's shown at times. And when you have Gilmore against number 1 receivers, and then you switch off between Lattimore and Jenkins, that's how you win the Super Bowl. That's the answer to your problems. Because honestly, I don't think it's our offense anymore. It's not. It's not Drew Brees. It's not the offense because we proved it last week. We could do it without our receivers. It's our defense. We talked about the Bears already, so I'm picking the Saints, especially if there's no Allen Robinson this week.
I'm picking the Saints even with Allen Robinson. I picked against the Bears a lot this year, and I know last week. Well, I think all 3 of us picked the Bears because I did say last week I was too hard on them because they were 5-1 last week. Now they're 5-2. But my main issue with them is it's the same thing it's always been. It's just the offense. Today's league, it's an offensive league. And sure, maybe Foles is better than Trubisky. I don't even know at this point. But they don't score. They don't score a lot of points. They score like 17, 20 points. I think that's going to happen this week. Even if Michael Thomas doesn't play, I don't even want to mention that guy. But
he's not going to play.
I don't care anymore. I'm just not going to say his name until I see him on the field. So it's going to be like, because the Bears have a good defense. I'm going to say like either like 28 to or 27 to like 17 Saints. I don't think it'll be close. I think it'll be a little bit like the Rams game, but maybe a little bit closer.
We demolished the Bears last year, by the way.
I know. I remember that. But I feel like your team was a lot better last year, playing wise.
Yeah, true.
You guys were more in sync. Michael Thomas.
I have a question for you.
Star. Yeah.
So the Bears' record just being 5-2 puts them in an advantage. But if they miss the playoffs entirely, do you think Matt Nagy gets fired? Or if they make it and lose their first game, whether it would have to be a wild card game, and they lose the wild card game, do you think he gets fired?
If they make it to the wild card and lose, no. If they fail out after being 5-1, I think he should. And I think he would.
Okay, but if they make the wild card, you think he stays 1 more year?
Yeah, and I think that would be a mistake.
Okay.
So
I was just curious.
I don't know if we talked about this. I think we talked about this off air before we went on. Like, I just don't know what their Matt Nagy was terrible. I know he won Coach of the Year, first year there.
The offense is his fault. That's why he gave
gadget plays were fun. It was working year 1, and then year 2 last year, everybody was blaming Mitch, and it was like, yeah, Mitch was terrible, but he didn't do anything to help him. And now it's this, year 3, it's the same thing as year 2. They try to put in Foles, but it's a lot of stuff. It's a
And
lot of
that's on him because the Bears were undefeated when they benched
yeah,
him.
and it's like I know that they don't have great offensive talent. Like I know it's just Allen Robinson and like 30-something-year-old Jimmy Graham because Montgomery's not playing. The offensive line's very like below average, but there's ways to look better. There's ways to just you don't have to be so. He just relies a lot on gadget plays, and he doesn't have the personnel to do that all the time, especially on fourth down. Like we talked about that fourth down play, and I know they were down by like 10 plus against the Rams, Monday Night Football. But while you're giving an H-back toss to Cordell Patterson, and I like Patterson, like I actually do think that's a good wrinkle to bring him in a few times. But that kind of play for Patterson makes no sense. You don't have the offensive line to be like you need 1 yard. You're not trying to get a touchdown on that play. So Saints
sorry to burst your bubble. Just got the report Michael Thomas didn't practice today, so he's not going to play.
He's never going to practice, this guy. So he's not playing this year, at least for my team.
So trade him to me.
No,
of course not. Don't give the Saints fan his Saints team. I already have Drew Brees and Kamara. Don't give me Michael Thomas.
it wouldn't matter. He wouldn't play, but I'm just suffering with him.
At least I can look on my bench, see him, and be happy. Okay, so you're going Saints?
Yeah.
Okay. Moral of the story: sign Earl Thomas. Stop wasting time before another team jumps on it. And
he will get
if
signed?
possible, get Gilmore.
It's not by the Saints. Do you think Earl Thomas gets signed? It seems like everyone else has. Antonio Brown's back. I know we didn't mention it because the Bucs.
Yeah, there's no rumors right now. Nobody's mentioning Earl Thomas. He's not in any news report or rumors. But I feel like when it comes to playoff time and there's a desperate team, like we need one more difference maker on defense. And why would you not? It's not. You're not giving him the big deal. You're giving him a 1 year minimum.
I don't think you're. I think any playoff team that needs secondary help should look at it. Should look at Earl Thomas.
New Orleans Saints. There you go. New Orleans needs him. All right. Next game. Let me touch on one more thing with the Saints. So I was getting to this earlier and I stopped myself. I said after Monday Night Football on Tuesday, I was looking at the Saints schedule. The next few weeks for the Saints are must-win games. Let me tell you why. Let me look up the Saints schedule individually. So do you remember earlier when I brought up that there's a good chance either the Saints or Bucs could miss playoffs just due to how good the NFC West is?
Yep.
And all those teams in their record. So one of these 6 teams, so count all the NFC West, Seahawks, Rams, Niners, Cardinals, all playoff caliber teams. And then think of teams like Green Bay, Chicago, Tampa Bay, right? Just the big NFC teams. So you're going to need as a Saints fan, you need some of those teams to lose. You definitely need Tampa to lose. But you need at least half of these NFC West teams to lose, right? At least half. Okay. So Saints play Bears this week. We already dropped 1 game to the Packers, which is going to hurt us in seeding. So we need to beat the Bears. We need another NFC win. We can't lose to an NFC team. Then the week after, we play the Buccaneers. Huge for division. Massive. That's going to determine the division, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think whoever wins week 9 wins the division. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Week 10, we play the 49ers. So an NFC West team. After that, we play the Falcons. We should win, but the Falcons always play good against us. Then we play the Broncos. Again, should win. AFC team, not a big deal. Then we play the Falcons again. Then we play the Eagles. Should win, but still NFC.
They are getting healthy, though, now. So
yeah.
You would rather play them already.
Yeah. And then we play the Chiefs, and I think the Chiefs are a better team.
Yeah. But you never know on any given day. But
yeah, but look, we could lose to the Bucs, right? We already have 2 losses. We could lose to the Bucs. We could drop one of the games to the Falcons because we play them 2 times in 3 weeks. They usually
do sneak one in, so.
Yeah, so that's another 2 losses, right? That puts us at 4.
Chiefs.
The Eagles could go either way. I think that we can beat the Eagles with the Chiefs. And then it's 5 losses. Then we play the Vikings. And I don't care how bad the Vikings are. They always beat us. And
that's true.
If we play them again, I'm picking the Vikings because they know how to beat us.
I'm picking the Saints for that one. But I always say that going into the so
that could be 6 losses. And we play the Panthers. And I know it's the last game of the week, and they're probably going to be out of it by then. But you don't think that they're going to want a shot to?
Yeah, they're not going to quit. That'll be a tough game. If that's a must-win, you might win it.
That's week 17.
They're not going to lie down for you. So
yeah, so that's a tough remaining schedule.
That is
considering the NFC standing. We can't. I don't think we could lose one of these games.
Like you lose like one or two, but you gotta
But that means we have to beat the Bucs and we have to beat the Niners if we drop two more. Have to.
And I don't think you're gonna beat the Bucs.
If we lose to either the Bucs or Niners and then drop another game for the rest of the year, we can miss the playoffs.
It's possible. I know what you're saying, but I feel like you're still gonna make it.
I hope so. I do, because the Buccaneers have an easy remaining schedule.
Because even your losses, right? You just lost to the Raiders, which is an AFC team, not a big deal.
Packers.
And who?
Packers.
All right. You lost to one NFC team. You're sitting good right now. I know what you're saying with the schedule, but
yeah,
I would just take it game by game.
Yeah, no, of course, but there's too many weaknesses on tape to be confident when you see how Tampa's playing. You know.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, and then another point to add. Even though the NFC West is really good, a lot of people don't know they haven't played the majority of the divisional games yet.
No, it's only been one or two games, right? Arizona.
Yeah, so they're going to start playing each other in the next coming weeks, which brings us to our next game.
The next game, right? Yeah, Seattle and the Niners.
So what do you have for that?
This one's tough. Seattle coming off their first loss of the season in a thriller game they really should have won, but absolute fun game to watch. Kyler Murray versus Russell Wilson. That was everything I wanted and more. That was great. Chris Carson got hurt, unfortunately, for my fantasy team and honestly for Seattle, because I think if he played, they win that game. They kind of just, and I know Russell's been throwing it more this year for sure, and that's great. But it feels like in the second half and Hyde had that 30-yard touchdown run, but outside of that, the run game is like nothing. And I feel like Carson started off the game, really good, and he got hurt before halftime on the Buda Baker play. I think that's the play he got hurt on.
Yep.
So from there, Seattle struggled a little bit offensively. Russell Wilson, he was kind of off. Like he had a good night, but some of those throws, like the interceptions, the last two were just like, especially the last one to Isaiah Simmons of all people.
I know, and we were talking about it.
We were laughing about how he doesn't play.
They finally put him in. And as soon as he makes a play.
He makes a game-changing play to win the Cardinals the game. And San Fran's been so impressive. Like I was really almost writing them off a few weeks ago after that Dolphins game, after Garoppolo was injured. I was like, man,
Kittle was injured.
Kyle Shanahan was dealt another shitty hand. The Niners were injured. Garoppolo's injured. They can't get anything going. And then these last 2 weeks, it's like they beat the Rams, and the Rams are good, and they beat the Patriots. And I know Cam and Patriots are struggling right now, but to give the Patriots a whooping like that, it's impressive. Unfortunately for the Niners, though, Deebo Samuel got hurt again. I believe he's out a week or two now with the hamstring issue. That really sucks. And Jeff Wilson, who scored 3 touchdowns, like we talked about earlier.
Came alive though.
He's on IR, but I feel like the Niners are going to be okay in the run game either way. I think Tevin Coleman might come back this week. He's coming off the IR spot, so he has 3 weeks now to get back in. But they'll figure it out, whether it's McKinnon or Hasty, that other guy. He looked good too. But I'm going to go Seattle, especially coming off a loss. I might have picked the Niners if Seattle had won that Arizona game, because obviously they're not going to go 16-0. But I just feel like, Metcalf wasn't involved against the Cardinals. Patrick Peterson did a really good job on him. And I feel like Russell Wilson's not going to throw 3 interceptions again. So I feel like it's going to be – I feel like it's going to be close. I feel like the Niners are definitely going to give them the game. Like Seattle's defense is good, but it's not.
This is good. Again, don't pick this game. Could go either way, just like that Baltimore Steeler game.
Yeah, I'm going to go Seattle here, though. I'm going to pick Russ.
Okay. Again, I don't want to be a victim of recency bias and just pick San Francisco because they just won and not Seattle because they just lost. I don't want to be a victim.
Well, there's 2 impressive wins from the Niners. Like
back to back, and so. I don't know how Russell Wilson didn't win that game. We talk about all year. If you just give him the ball and the chance in the fourth quarter, he's going to win. And he had 2 opportunities in overtime. Yes. And granted, the DK Metcalf call got called back because of the illegal block. But
it was a weird game for Russ. Like I felt like part of it was Chris Carson getting injured. And DK Metcalf kind of getting.
I understand people are saying, like the commentators were saying, Carlos Hyde 1,000-yard rusher with Houston. He could get the job done for a few weeks. But again, I'm going to fall victim to recency bias. Don't tell me that Carlos Hyde's going to open up the offense again for Russell to throw it when the 49ers defense is playing how they're playing. I just
don't stop Carlos Hyde or whoever runs the ball. Travis Homer, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. So I don't see it happening. I'm going 49ers because they could run it against Seattle, and if Garoppolo could throw it to Kittle and Ayuk like he did, I have faith in them to do that again against Seattle.
And Seattle just made a big addition today. He's not going to play this weekend, but Carlos Dunlap got traded to the Seattle Seahawks, and we talked about lack of pass rusher. So he's been a steady pro for like 10-plus years, and they got him for a 7th-round pick. So I actually really like that pickup for Seattle. I talked about how I thought they were going to the Super Bowl, them or Tampa Bay, and the pass rush might hold them back. I really like the Carlos Dunlap addition.
Yeah, but
he
I'm
won't be
confident picking the 49ers.
He can't play from COVID, but
I don't think, regardless of how good, again, Metcalf had a quiet game, and I think he does better this week. But Tyler Lockett's not getting you 13 catches for almost 200 yards again and 3 touchdowns. It's not happening.
He's going to come back down to reality this week a little bit.
That was their offense. So if you can't do that against San Francisco with their running game, I just, again, it could be recency bias. I could be wrong. Don't, put your money on this game. But
yeah, it wouldn't
right now, I have more faith in matchup-wise. Just straight matchup. Like, the Seahawks could have won in overtime, and I still would be picking the 49ers right now. It's not because they lost. It's just strictly matchup.
We'll see if this game is as good as the last 2 games they played last year, where Week 17
came where it comes down to the last play.
And then Seattle beat the undefeated 9-0 Niners last year. It was 2 unbelievable games. So hopefully we get a repeat of those 2 games.
Yep. Okay. The Sunday night game, the Poverty Bowl. We have the Dallas Cowboys who just signed quarterback. That's what I was looking over here.
Cooper Rush. Yeah.
Cooper Rush, who's going to start for them.
He's going to start this week?
Who else are they going to start?
Who was the guy who came in after Dalton? He was some athletic guy. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. No, they're going to play that guy because Cooper Rush got signed to the practice squad. My bad. Yeah, but either way.
Who is it this week? Dallas? Oh, Philly. The Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, they play. That's what's the Poverty Bowl.
I'm going to go Eagles. I talked about this in the beginning of the show. I'm not picking Dallas, I don't think, for the rest of the year. Maybe once. Dallas shown you nothing to pick them. Mike McCarthy's a loser. And the Eagles are getting more healthy now. Travis Fulham has been good. Even though Miles Sanders, I think he's going to be out.
Jalen Rager's
back
this week.
Yeah, and he came back before schedule. And Dallas Goedert's practicing. I don't think he's going to be ready this week, but the Eagles are starting to get healthy on offense. So, and for this game, I don't think it matters. Dallas can't stop anything defensively. They're trading away pieces, to an already bad defense. So I'm going to go Philly here pretty comfortably. I think they're going to beat them up.
Yeah, I don't want to waste time talking. The Cowboys are sorry, regardless of whether they have a quarterback at this point. And again, Eagles are getting healthier, so that's all you need to tell me to pick the Eagles. Carson Wentz is he's not losing to this Cowboys team.
No.
It's just not happening. Okay. So that was the Sunday night game. Now we have the last game of the week, the Monday night game. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers are coming to MetLife to play Daniel Jones and the Giants.
Well, I'm glad it's not the Jets.
Yeah, it's going to be let me just get it out of the way. It's going to be another blowout. Consider this like the Raider game, but the Raiders are a lot better than the Giants, which tells you something. Daniel Jones, I don't care who's playing at receiver, whether it's Slayton, Shepard, Evan Ingram, whoever it is. For Devonta Freeman's might not get 50 yards rushing. Yeah, so
he's injured anyway. So
okay, so Gallman, right? Not happening. Whoever's running for the Giants, it's not going to work. Whoever's catching passes is not going to work. And the Giants, don't be surprised if this is like a 3-turnover game, like 2 picks and a fumble.
Yeah. Don't be surprised if the Buccaneers bring one back to the house, maybe 2 on defense.
Yeah, this is not going to be close.
No.
Antonio Brown's not playing this week. Chris Godwin broke his finger, needs surgery.
Of course, he's on my fantasy team, so just let you guys know this is what I deal with every week.
Yes, Chris Godwin and Michael Thomas and Chris Carson.
And there's somebody else. Devontae Freeman, but that's only because I had James Robinson on my bye week, so it gets worse.
Anyway, yeah. It doesn't matter who's
this one's gonna be ugly. Like the Buccaneers score another 4 touchdown, maybe 5 touchdown performance from Brady.
Yeah, it's gonna be Mike Evans, it's gonna be the tight ends, and it's gonna be Scotty Miller.
Scotty Miller.
Yeah, so by far I don't want to waste time unless you want to add something. I have nothing else to add.
No, that's a pretty simple game. I will say though, before we end, we can do the power rankings next week if you want. Me, you, and Mike Ellis when he gets back.
I'm interested to see what you guys think. We'll all individually do it. We won't tell each other until the show.
And maybe I'll bring this up next week when Markello's back too, so he can give his take. But for right now, we all of us gave our Super Bowl predictions in some capacity. If you had to give me just 4 teams right now that you had to bet on, like we're basically halfway through the season. What 14? Doesn't matter if you do 3 NFC. I'm gonna do 2 AFC, 2 NFC. But if you had to pick 4 teams that you felt confident in, like you had to put I don't know, $1,000 on this team to make it out of four out of 32 teams. Which teams are you taking?
You said 2 NFC, 2 AFC?
Yeah, well, it's better to do it like that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. With bias, because again, the Saints are my Super Bowl pick, and I do think if we make the right adjustments and the right moves, we can make the Super Bowl. I do genuinely believe that. So I'm going to stick with my team. I'm not going to discredit you if you pick Seattle. Obviously, that's a clear choice, or San Francisco, or whatever. But I'm going to go Saints, and I'm going to go Buccaneers. And in the AFC, I am going to go Chiefs, obviously. And I feel like the common choice is to pick Tennessee as a betting man.
Mm-hmm. I think I would go Tampa. I'm only going back to the NFC. That's the hardest one, I think, for me. For the AFC, I'm going Chiefs and Steelers. And for the NFC, I'm going Tampa. And I'm picking a team from the NFC West.
It's probably going to be a team from the NFC West, if not the Buccaneers. In all honesty, just being unbiased. Again, I'm biased. I'm picking the Saints.
I'm going to go Seattle. I can't. Russ I know he had a bad game, but what he's done this year. And
it's playoff experience, too. If Kyler Murray makes it, if Kyler Murray has to play San Francisco or Seattle in the playoffs, I'm picking against Kyler Murray. Not because I don't believe in him.
He's the one guy, though, that gives San Fran. I know
because of the rushing ability, but I'm going playoff experience over.
That's fair.
I'm going to the teams that are going to be been there, done that.
Next
week we'll come back. All three of us will have our power rankings. It'll be fun.
Yeah, we'll do 1 to 32. Spoiler alert: the Jets are last. So.
Yeah, spoiler.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next week.
See you guys next week.